My name is Arjun, and this is a story I'll never forget, a night that left me questioning the very fabric of reality. I'm 22, fresh out of college, and like most recent graduates, I was busy searching for a job. At the time, I was living with my parents in a large city in South India. They had been incredibly supportive, and I was grateful to have their company as I prepared for my next steps in life. But little did I know, a night alone at home would be more than I ever bargained for. It was a warm, breezy day, and my parents had planned to visit a friend across the city. I wasn't interested in going, as I wanted some quiet time to relax. The night before, I had watched a particularly terrifying horror movie. And even though I considered myself brave, there was a lingering sense of unease that followed me the next day. Still, I brushed it off. After all, it was just a movie. Before leaving, my parents asked if I'd be okay alone. I laughed it off, feeling the smallest hint of pride in their subtle concern. It wasn't my first time alone at home, but there was something unsettling about the way they kept double-checking things before they left. They ensured that all the windows were locked, reminded me to keep the doors closed, and finally, my mother left with a soft pat on my shoulder, saying, "Be careful, Arjun." I simply nodded, not knowing what lay ahead. As they drove away, I looked around the house. It was strangely quiet. There's a kind of stillness that falls over a home when you're truly alone. The faint hum of the fan and the distant sounds from the street seemed oddly amplified. But I brushed it off and decided it was the perfect time to take a long, hot shower and relax. I headed to my room upstairs, grabbing my towel and phone. I had a habit of playing music while I showered, but since my phone was low on battery, I plugged it in and opted to use the living room TV to play music instead. I set up my playlist on YouTube, turned up the volume, and made my way back upstairs to the bathroom. Our bathroom light switch was outside the room, so I flipped it on before stepping inside. The music echoed faintly up the stairs, filling the house with a familiar tune, which eased my nerves. I stepped into the shower, letting the warm water wash away my tension. After a few minutes, just as I was starting to relax, the bathroom light went out. The sudden darkness startled me, and I stood frozen for a moment. My mind raced with possible explanations. Maybe it was a power outage. But the TV was still playing music downstairs. My heartbeat quickened, and I felt a growing sense of dread. My rational mind kept assuring me it was nothing, yet there was an undeniable fear creeping in. A thought crossed my mind: if this is a power outage, why is the TV still on? I reached out blindly in the dark, fumbled for the towel, and wrapped it around my waist. My hand trembled as I reached for the door, wondering if I should just wait it out. But then, the light flickered back on, as if someone had flipped the switch outside. A chill ran down my spine. Someone had to have turned it off. I was alone, at least, I thought I was. I took a deep breath and opened the bathroom door a crack, peeking out. The hallway was empty, but an oppressive silence had replaced the faint music from the TV. "Hello?" I called out, my voice shaky. "Mom? Dad? Are you guys back?" No answer. Then, I heard something from downstairs. It was the unmistakable clatter of plates and utensils hitting the floor in the kitchen. I froze, my mind whirling. I could feel my body tense up, and the dread that had been simmering at the back of my mind now became a full-blown panic. Someone's in the house, I thought, my mind racing. But who? I had no weapon, no means of defense, and only a towel wrapped around me. Gathering all the courage I could muster, I convinced myself to go check. My parents' words echoed in my mind, as if warning me of the danger I now faced. Leaving the bathroom light on, I stepped into the hallway and made my way to the staircase. I tried to move quietly, though every step felt loud in the eerie silence. As I reached the top of the stairs, I peered down, heart pounding. The kitchen was dimly lit, and scattered across the floor were several plates and utensils. I scanned the area, but there was no one in sight. My mind tried to reason it away. Maybe something fell. Maybe it was a draft. But then, a louder, more unsettling thought took root. What if someone was in here, messing with me? I hesitated, watching for any movement, any sign that I wasn't alone. When I saw nothing for a few moments, I decided to go down. I checked the rooms, cautiously opening closet doors and peeking around every corner. Finally, I reached the back door, and I was relieved to find it locked. As I breathed a sigh of relief, the music from upstairs suddenly stopped. then came the unmistakable sound of heavy footsteps descending the staircase. My blood ran cold, and without a second thought, I bolted for the front door, not caring that I was still in my towel. I ran outside, stopping only when I reached the gate. I looked back at the house, my body shaking with fear. The front door stood open, and I could see the darkened staircase from where I stood. For nearly an hour, I stood by the gate, too terrified to go back inside. I kept glancing at the house, expecting to see someone, a shadow, a face, anything that could explain what I had heard. The seconds felt like hours until, finally, my parents pulled into the driveway. I ran to them, spilling out everything that had happened in a single breath. But their expressions were calm, if a bit skeptical. My father even chuckled, patting me on the back, while my mother gave me a soft smile, clearly thinking I had let my imagination run wild after watching that horror movie. They suggested I had been pranking them. Frustrated, I followed them back inside, bracing myself for any further surprises. But as we walked through the house, everything seemed perfectly normal. The plates were back in their place, and nothing appeared out of order. I began to doubt my own memory, wondering if I had somehow imagined the whole thing. Then my mom said something that made my stomach drop. "Arjun," she called from the kitchen. "Why did you leave the back door open?" I felt faint. I was certain I had checked that door and found it locked. Somehow, it was now ajar. My parents looked at me with concern as I stammered, trying to explain, but my words failed me. They thought I was messing around, but I knew what I had seen, what I had heard. To this day, I don't know who, or what, was in that house with me. Sometimes, I still hear the faint echo of footsteps in my dreams, the quiet click of a light switch, or the clattering of plates in the distance. I'm just grateful I never stayed long enough to find out who was walking down those stairs that day, and as for that back door, I still wonder how it was opened. If this story sent chills down your spine, don't forget to like the video and hit the subscribe button. Join us for more spine-tingling tales and thrilling mysteries. Your support helps us bring you the best in horror storytelling. Subscribe now so you never miss out on our next terrifying story.